Hello folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome to yet another full flight video in the FSLabs A320. Today, to be specific, we are flying the Airbus A321, so after this flight we will have covered the whole lineup of the FSLabs Airbus series. Sorry about the fact that it's a lot of Airbus these days. It's quite simply the plane which I enjoy flying the most these days, and that's simply the reason why we're having a lot of those flights. But today's flight should be pretty cool. We are going from Dusseldorf down to Fuerteventura, one of these very typical Condor holiday flights, also one of the few that are operated these days. Going out of Central Europe, I think the only destinations where you can possibly go these days is Greece or the Canary Islands. And so we will fly to the later ones, and yes, I think it should be a cool flight down there. Weather here at Dusseldorf is quite okay, just some low-hanging clouds, but other than that it is fine. Flight time today will be roughly 5 hours, I think, but we can double check back in the cockpit. And regarding the aircraft, we are in Delta Alpha Tango Charlie Alpha. This aircraft is around 10 years old, and it has in fact been flying for Air Berlin for 8 years, and then after the Air Berlin insolvency it went over to Condor. So yes, that's the aircraft. We are in the CFM engines, which are not as powerful as the international aero engines, but let's see how this performs. We are of course rather heavy today on this long flight. But it's a long runway and weather is good, so it shouldn't be too much of a trouble getting off the ground. Alright, and on that note, let's meet inside the flight deck. And here we are. It's now 10:49, basically 10:50 Zulu, which translates into 12:50 local time midday, and scheduled departure time is for 1 p.m. local time. And then let's actually double check order. Flight time 4 hours 31 minutes, and then yeah, we will sort of get to Fuerteventura late afternoon. Alright, I've requested the performance and we have received it. That's perfect, so let's enter this. We will be going out of runway 23 left today. Weather is rather fine with a bit of headwinds on this runway. Yeah, 12 knots of headwinds, so quite a bit even. Outside temperatures 14 degrees, standard altimeters. I have selected a PAX off takeoff, simply because I believe that would be close to real procedures, as we are heavy and it's not too warm outside. Why not put the PAX off, saving a little bit of engine power. And yes, let's see what we got. So we have a flap 1 setting with trim 0.0 really, so flap 1. And let's put down 0.0 if it works. It makes it up 0.0, that's also fine. And we are going full length today, and with those speeds 146, 155 and 159er. And then selected temperature of 40 degrees. So a little bit of a derate. Whatever is possible is good for the engine life and fuel consumption, of course. Transition altitude is 5000, which will also be the initial climb clearance. And thrust reduction and acceleration, I will leave it at default. I think these FSLabs Airbuses come with the proper configs on how these airlines deal with these numbers, and that's why we would simply leave them as they are. I just need to put this to 5000. Okay, and yeah, regarding the departure, let's have a look here on the navigation display. So departing out, heading 232 initially, and yeah, then we are sort of going on a right-hand turn, and we are just sort of circling around the populated area of Dusseldorf. So we are flying a right-hand turn and then later on a left-hand turn, and then towards the south down to Fuerteventura. So that's the plan. Boarding is still going on, fueling as well. Shouldn't take that much longer. We are, no, it will in fact take a bit longer. So 16.5 tons fuel on board. Now we are at 12.5 basically, so it will take a bit longer. Yes, we also have custom PA announcements. You can hear them in the background, which is kind of awesome. I have reviewed all the messages, nothing special on there. And so on that note, I will get back to you when all the boarding and refueling is complete. Alright guys, so here we are again. Refueling is completed and now also boarding is completed. I have just fired up the APU. We can put on the APU bleeds. And let's get rid of the external power, and then we can also ask for a pushback. We are just 2 minutes late, so that's pretty much spot on the desired time of departure. And let's see if this pushback works out fine. We are in a bit of a difficult parking position here. So quickly showing you the apron ends over here, so getting a pushback with the tail to the right is not really an option. And it is today since there's no aircraft here, but technically there could be aircraft there. So ideally we get pushed back out on this taxiway. If that works, I have no idea though. We will see. Okay, so the pushback truck is coming in, so let's see what our options are here. And also just double checking over here, we can put the beacons on and seatbelts of course now.
Hello Captain, we are ready for pushback.
Just seeing we have another new message.
Looking here.
So we have 202 packs plus 3 today, 205 packs, quite a lot. Not fully maxed out in terms of capacity, I think. And then fuel report, as always, keep forgetting this one. Okay, 17506. Okay, let's send this off. Okay, and it seems like Justsim has actually put in a proper pushback here. Let's see how this works out. No idea.
Release parking brakes.
And so we can release the parking brakes and
Commencing push.
The block time.
All engines clear. Start at will.
And we are also cleared to fire up those engines. And that's what we will do straight away. This looks very promising up to this point. I know it's a bit weird, but that's GSX logic. Okay, yeah, that looks very good up to this point. There's just some other aircraft coming in. Another Condor A321, but he's taking a right-hand turn. That's good. And yeah, I think that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Nice. We even have a bit of background music to this PA announcement. Kind of like it. Let's fire up engine 1.
Vielen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit. Bitte verstauen Sie Ihr Handgepäck in den Gepäckfächern über Ihren Sitzen. Für schweres und haariges Handgepäck nutzen Sie den Stauraum unter Ihren Vordersitzen. Und achten Sie darauf, dass es sicher verschlossen ist. Bitte legen Sie nun Ihren Sicherheitsgurt an. Zum Schließen Ihres Gurtes führen Sie beide.
If I remember correctly from my last Condor flight, I think they have like a safety instructions video with some music to it, and it's probably the music playing from the video.
Bleiben Sie bitte wie er zu Ihrer eigenen Sicherheit während des gesamten
Okay, and now I think pushback should be completed any second.
Wenn die Anschnallzeichen eingeschaltet sind. Bitte suchen Sie dann auch die Waschräume nicht auf. Wir bitten Sie, Ihre Mobiltelefone sowie alle weiteren elektronischen Geräte, wie Musikplayer oder Computer, während
Perfect. Engine number 1 is also fired up. Looking very good. Okay, so this goes back to norm. Pushback is still going on. No idea where he's putting us. Looks like we are even going out all the way on this taxiway here. But that makes it even a bit easier for us to taxi to the runway, which is just down there. It will be a quick taxi.
Leuchtstreifen im Boden markieren den Weg zu den Notausgängen. Bitte beachten Sie, dass sich der nächste Notausgang auch hinter Ihnen befindet.
This music is hilarious.
Die
Very
Ausgänge
entertaining.
haben aufblasbare Rutschen, über die Sie das Flugzeug im Notfall verlassen. Die Schwimmwesten befinden sich unter Ihrem Sitz und sind einfach zu
That's a
handhaben.
huge
Die
pushback
Schwimmweste sicher
procedure.
im Kopf, haken Sie den Gurt ein
There's
und
a
ziehen Sie ihn straff.
738 waiting over
Unmittelbar bevor
there,
Sie das
although
Flugzeug über die Notausgänge verlassen, ziehen Sie an den roten Griffen,
I know he's
um die
texting
Weste
since there's
aufzunehmen.
no aircraft on the runway.
Benutzen Sie zusätzlich die Mundschläuche, falls Sie
Okay,
wollen.
now it should be
Im Fall
completed.
einer Notwasserung werden die Rutschen an den Notausgängen als Flöße benutzt. Wenn Westen
Set parking brake.
erhalten Sie von
Alrighty.
unseren Flugbegleitern die Ihnen
Yeah, I
gerne
could have waited a bit longer with the
Waiting your
engine stuff, but I didn't know it
confirmation
was
for
that an excessive. Pushback.
Sauerstoffmasken aus der
Oops,
Kabine.
that was just the wrong button. He's coming in, perfect.
Sie heran und drücken Sie sie fest auf Mund und Nase.
Alright,
Helfen Sie danach,
flight
Kinder und
controls
hilfsbedürftige
trim should be 0.
Alle
There it
Informationen für Ihre
is.
Sicherheit finden Sie auch auf der
And
Sicherheitskarte, die sich in der
then,
Sitztasche
oops.
vor Ihnen befindet.
Let's wait with these for another second. Oh, we can go flaps 1.
Unlocking gear.
And still enjoying this very hilarious safety
All traffic
instructions.
disconnected. Light has been removed.
Ready for takeoff?
Ein kleiner Schritt für Sie, aber ein großer Schritt für Ihre Flugsicherheit.
Okay, that's definitely my favorite PA announcement up to this point. Oh, it's still going on. It's crazy. Maybe we need to turn it off in a second.
Dear passengers, on behalf of today's
Oh,
crew,
now
we
the
welcome
same
you
thing
aboard
happens in
this
English, of
Condor.
course.
We'll be ready for takeoff shortly.
Left is clear, right is clear.
Thanks for your attention. Just
Let's turn this down a bit.
We'd like to familiarize you
Okay,
with the
trim is set, flaps are set, flight controls, full left,
Please stow your hand luggage in the overhead
full
floor.
right, neutral, ailerons, full up,
Heavier and
full
heavier
down,
use the
neutral,
space
and
on the
rudder,
seat in
full
front
left,
of you. And make sure that
full
it's closed
right,
properly.
neutral. Okay, this goes to nose wheel steering.
To fasten your belt,
Taxi
buckle
lights
the
come on.
sections of the belt together like this and pull the
And
belt tight.
APU bleed and
Tighten the
APU
belt,
comes
just
off.
lift the flap.
Just have to remember to turn off the pegs before takeoff, and then this goes to arm, this goes to max, and we are all good. So is GSX done? Seems like it. Let's release the parking brakes, and then let's see. We'll probably need a bit of power here since we are on the CFM engine option. And also this goes to weather radar on, predictive wind shear. This can go to weather. And yes, cool, off we go.
Mobile phones can be used in flight mode. In your Condor magazine, you'll find a list of all approved electronic devices. Like all Condor flights, this is a non-smoking flight. Smoking is
Then
not
we need a bit
permitted
more power here.
anywhere on board during the
Okay,
flight.
so we will take a left-hand turn just here, and then we will simply taxi all the way down to the runway. It's not too long of a taxi today.
They're marked with the word exit. Please take path lighting to lead you to these exits. Please keep in mind that your nearest exit may be behind you. The exits have inflatable slides, which can be used to leave the aircraft in an emergency situation. Your life vest is located.
I can imagine that if you work for Condor,
Pull the life vest
this
over
PA
your head.
announcement gets really annoying after some time.
Pull it tight. Just before leaving the aircraft via the emergency exit, hold the red handles to inflate the life vest. If necessary, blow into the tubes for lighting. In the event of an emergency ditching, the slide
Alright, so
closes.
let's come back to the topic of flying. We are in the A321, which is of course the longest option of the A320 series. And whenever we are flying the longest option of an aircraft family, we have to monitor the tail strike risk, so we can't pull it too much on rotation. And that's the same for all the long variants, really. Doesn't matter if you're talking about 737s or the 777. The 300 is of course more prone to tail strikes compared to the 200. And it's always the same story in long aircrafts, and it's the same today. So that's something we need to monitor, and also, yeah, it is the heaviest option, the heaviest aircraft of the A320 family as well. We are still a few kilograms away from max takeoff weight. In fact, it was monitored on the load sheet earlier.
We now wish you a very pleasant flight with Condor.
Messages, load sheet. So we can see takeoff weight 87 tons, max would be 93.5. So that's still 6.5 tons shy of max takeoff weight. So it should work out fine. However, we certainly will feel a bit of a difference during climb compared to the A320 and especially compared to the A319. But since it's good weather today, we have a long runway, everything should work out fine. Alright, we are still waiting for the cabin okay. We're already slowing down, so with these engines we can't even keep the current speed in idle, which is quite unusual compared to all the other A320 options. Alright, so now it's not too far to go. I can see that some aircraft is coming in on 23 right, and it seems like AI config is using the proper runway config here today, which is nice. Also, I put on the transponder TAR rate tilt above, and then we can put the terrain over here, but both terrain and weather not too exciting today. We're still waiting for the cabin okay, and I think there's a bit of a trick here in the FSLabs. If we just cycle the non-smokings to off and back to on, it's sort of a cabin hurry up signal. And let's see if we get it anytime soon, which would be kind of cool. This one needs to go on as well.
Cabin crew, the cabin is ready. Seats for departure, please.
That's perfect timing. That was only the Purser announcement, I believe. Now we are still waiting for the okay, but there it is. Okay, we will taxi straight onto the runway. Let's receive this message. No, we have received it already. Perfect. Okay, TO config, all green, that's set. Those go on, this goes on, strokes go on. Looking good. And now we just need to remember the pegs, but let's do it when we are properly lined up. And now I hope there's not any traffic coming in to cross our runway. But the guy who just landed on 23 right, he's still on the runway, so that should be fine. And thus, we are in a good state. So pegs 1 and 2 come off. And we are sort of aligned on the runway. And this goes off. And let's do it. Start the timer. About 50% and 1. There's the power. Man flex, SRS and runway. We have a 43 selected temperature and already nicely speeding up. So let's see how good the takeoff calculation was, how much of the runway we need. That's V1. And let's rotate already. Okay, so not more than 10 degrees. We are airborne, gears coming up. So there was quite a bit of margin left even for that takeoff. We're going a bit fast, but then we can accelerate any second, so it should be fine. Yeah, there's climb power. Sweet, and now the pegs can come back on. And let's put this autopilot on, and there we can see that the flap retraction is just at the last possible point in time, so indicating that we are in fact quite heavy and quite maxed out for the A321. Okay, let's disarm those, and those lights can come off. Cool. Okay, seems like we are limited to 230 knots, which is correct, but it should disappear after the next waypoint, and you can see how close we are to the stall speed.
Please let one of us know. As the captain has already mentioned, we recommend that you keep your seatbelt
Creating our own weather over the wing.
and they must be securely fastened on the flight.
Yes, and then after the next waypoint we should be clear to speed up to 250, and as you can see we can't go much slower than that with this heavy weight we are carrying today. Okay, let's keep it climbing. I haven't even checked our cruise level. 330 initially. Alright. Yes, now we are going to 250 knots. Cool. Yes, we are not climbing crazily fast, but steadily. This goes to standard. In fact, it was on standard already. Alright, let's wait until we push through the clouds. Shouldn't be too long. Okay, it seems like it is taking a bit of time after all. Cloud layer is a bit thicker than I expected. Alright, but we are well underway, passing 7,500 feet, and on that note I'm gonna say enjoy the scenics, and then I will get back to you in about 5 hours, and then we will hopefully have a beautiful approach into Fuerteventura. See you in a bit. Hello folks, welcome back to the flight deck. We are just closing on Fuerteventura. It is in fact to the right of us. We can see the airport down there. Beautiful weather down here on these islands, so good visibility. Some AI traffic over there, which just departed out of Fuerteventura. For me, it's the first time flying into this scenery. It is an MKStudios scenery, but quite an old one. I think back from 2017, but I believe it still comes with a photogen island quality scenery stuff. And yeah, so it looks pretty neat. I hope it gets even more crisp when we get closer. And now just the few clouds that were around disappeared. Yes, we are about to pass 11,000 feet. We are sort of circling around the airport and come in to land towards the north on runway 01. And the approach works like this, as we can see here in the charts. We are just passing Tenda, and then after the next waypoint we will go on the 12-mile DME arc of Fuerteventura VOR, and then at the end of this one we will eventually meet the localizer, and then after a little bit more flying we will meet the flight slope, which is down there, which we will meet at 2,500 feet. So that's the plan, pretty straightforward really. Weather is okay. I can show you here the stuff I've entered. It shouldn't change much. It's of course quite warm, 24 degrees, winds 13 knots from 050, which will mean a headwind a little bit from the right. Transition is flight level 60, and yes, we will of course be on a full config landing, and landing speed 155, so we are quite fast, which means we should definitely use auto brake medium, and also we will use some reverse thrust on the ground. According to the charts, the touchdown zone is pretty far down the runway. It only starts after 1,000 meters of the runway. I'm not quite sure if the glide slope actually puts us there, but we will see when we get close to the touchdown, of course. And so yeah, it will be a bit of braking on the ground, but it should be fine. Yes, and other than that, we didn't receive a gate. There's no gate set up for this airport, but there are not too many gates down there, so we'll simply pick a free one. That should be totally fine. Yes, and well, that's a pretty fast story to tell here for this approach. Pretty straightforward. I just forgot the landing lights. Just noticing it now, since we are below 10,000 feet. And now for this DME arc, we have a minimum altitude of 2,700, and it would be kind of cool to also get there a bit before meeting the localizer. Then we can make sure to be below the glide slope, if that makes sense. So I think what I'm going to do is go a bit into manual mode here and descend just a touch faster than we are planning to. And it should get us nicely onto 2,700 once we meet the localizer. Yes, I hope that works out well, and let's enjoy a bit of views out the window. So in the latest meta which I got, there was even a few mentioned a few clouds in here, but apparently that's not the case anymore. All the clouds have disappeared. It's of course a little bit sort of hazy, as it is always over the ocean, and so it seems like pretty realistic weather for this approach. Alright, we are past transition altitude, so this goes to oops, it was one too far, 1024. Like this. Okay, and now we are in fact back spot on the descent profile. But I think it is convenient to descend a little bit faster than that. I think I will switch this around, and also this one can stay on terrain. Weather is really not interesting today. And so, yes, in fact, we are now quickly closing in on the localizer. We are nicely just a touch below the descent profile, which is perfect, but we want to make sure to not descend below this 2,700 for now. That sounds like the cabin clearance. Okay, and let's see when we can actually capture this ILS. Sorry, of course, forgot to put it on. That's the localizer captured. Perfect. Quite a steep turn here. And let's go 2500, and I kind of want to have it managed, but it's not doing it right now. Yes, we are overshooting a touch, but that's fine. We can soon set flaps 1 about now, and this should help the aircraft slow down a bit, and the glide slope is coming in, so this goes to approach mode. Let's arm those already. Cool, and there's the runway in sight down there. Go around altitude, we'll go to 4000 once we have captured the glide slope, of course. We are 9 miles out, so let's go flap 2. Now we can feel the aircraft pitching down. Oh, that's beautiful. It even colors in this sort of shallow waters down here, which are always the unique thing about island approaches. Okay, and we are settled on the glide slope. This is perfect, so that goes to 4000. And let's put those to taxi. Yeah, we are already nicely slowing down, even on a flap 2 config easily. And yeah, so the touchdown zone is all the way back there. But then we can enter at the very end, that should be fine. Some more scenery loading in the background. Pretty cool arrival. We are also having 16 knots of winds just now, which is quite a bit. Let's go flap 3 and drop the gear. I wonder if these pitch down effects with the flaps are really realistic. I don't know, they somehow just feel a bit exaggerated. Okay, and flaps full. Seeing a golf course down here. Awesome. Okay, so we all we're waiting for the cabin. Okay. Well, I hope it's coming in soon. I'm not going to go around for the cabin. I mean, after all, it's just a simulation, right? Okay, so I will take the aircraft. And you can feel that we are crabbing quite a bit. So for those of you who don't know what it means, it's sort of we are flying not straight into the runway, but we are aiming to the right of it. That's because of the crosswinds, and which means that just before touchdown, we need to use the rudders to align the aircraft with the runway. It's going to be a bit interesting. Let's see how this works out, as it requires a lot of practice, but I'm not so experienced with crosswind landings.
500.
Just a bit worried about my cabin, but yeah, I can't help it now.
400.
We're a touch low on the glide slope, but
300.
since there's plenty of runway before the touchdown zone, I think it's fine.
100 above. Minimum.
Continue.
$100. 50. 40. 30. 20.
Okay,
Retard.
retard and a
10.
bit of rudder.
5.
Beautiful, and reverse. Decelerating. And it's 50 knots manual braking, idle forward. Sweet. Welcome down to Fuerteventura, guys. That was a fun landing rig, very enjoyable. Kind of cool to have this bit of a crosswind, not too much. Still enough to use a bit of the rudder before touchdown. And then in these kind of conditions, we don't want to put too much emphasis on a cruiser. It's it more comes down to really getting the plane down safely instead of doing a super soft landing. But I think that was quite well. Didn't monitor what our touchdown rate was, but it didn't feel like we have been crashing on the runway too crazy. So it should be fine. Those go off, strobes go off. We need to do a bit of a cleanup. And yeah, we'll completely turn and then we can set up for a gate. I'm just a bit sorry about my cabin crew, which apparently has not been ready for the landing. I'm not sure what's sort of triggering this or not triggering this, however you want to see it. But we are here to fly the aircraft, so don't care too much about it. BRSC off, and transponder goes to standby. Predictive wind shear goes off. Weather system goes off. Let's get this APU fired up. And ground spoilers are apparently still armed. Okay, let's have a look at the brakes. They are hot, so we are going to put the brake fan on. Okay, but the crew is doing the normal announcement, so it can't be that bad. Okay, now let's see what we have. I don't think there are any assigned gates. It just anyone will do, really. How about 20 or 7? No, it's not available. Let's take 20. Swissport, whatever. All white. This is Lima 1. Let's take Lima 2, and this will get us a bit closer to our gate. There's a Condor 757-300 over there. And then our gate is back there. We can see GSX waiting for us. Yes, and now we are also nicely taxiing without any power or only idle thrust. Since now we are, of course, a lot lighter than we were back in Dusseldorf. Okay, Lima 2 is coming up. Okay, this didn't start right away. Yeah, this is Lima 2. We can take this one, and there's another 757 taxiing out. And regarding the landing again, so with these touchdown zones, which are so far down the runway, I don't know what's the particular reason why they do it here. I'm sure it has very good reasons. I kind of always wonder about, like, why is it not at the beginning of the runway. I get it if there's like any obstacles before that, but on this approach there was really nothing. I mean, it's just coming sort of along the coast, so there can't be any high obstacles in front of the runway. But anyhow, I'm sure there are good reasons. Okay, left-hand turn here, and then we've almost made it. This is 19 and 19 Bravo. Taxi lights can come off, APU lead goes on. But the scenery works pretty good, considering it's not officially a Prepare version 5 scenery. It's the old one, I think even back from Prepare version 3, if I'm not mistaken. But it works like a charm and also looks pretty good. A lot of buses running around here. Sorry if I'm running into one. let's see if these jetways are going to work or not. Yeah, still being hot, 410 degrees, that's quite a lot. Okay, let's see, A321, technically correct. Yeah, let's trust it and then we will see how we've done later. I went too far, okay. Anyhow, let's put the parking brake on. Okay, it did put us on the A319 spot, but I think it's okay. I mean, the jetway is pretty much aligned to the door, so that should work. Cool. So, APU are on, so this goes off. Clock time 4:35, and now I'm just remembering I forgot the flight time. So 4:15, somewhere around that. Cool. Beacons go off, seatbelts go off.
Cabin crew, disarm yellow bill, select the set cross check.
And I believe deboarding. Yeah, confirm selection. So apparently jetway even working with SODI, pretty cool. What else? Down to the options, external controls. Actually, let's try something different today. If we call the mechanic, then GSX should bring the external power. However, it's already here, so FSLabs is a bit faster than GSX. But that's okay, so we can use this one and then APU goes off. However, we should make sure, since it's warm outside, that we also get the ground air conditioning. And so, last thing for us to do is go back to the AOC init. And yeah, there's not too much to do here. We can enter pilot TJ, send this off theoretically. And here we have the data time again, so flight time 4 was 14 minutes, and now it's sent away already. Alrighty. And on that note, guys, welcome again down to sunny Fuerteventura. I'm quite surprised how well the airport looks and how good it works. That was a pretty cool approach in my opinion as well, with a little bit of grabbing, a bit of crosswind landing there. Quite fun to fly, and also of course first time flying the FSLabs A321. In my opinion, it's even a bit cooler than the other ones, since it's more challenging due to the weight, and the margins for error, in my opinion, are a bit smaller. I'm not sure if a real pilot would agree to that, but at least it feels like this in the sim. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this flight, and take care. See you next time.